the concept of you get what you give out really is true. I mean, I'm talking on an emotional basis at the moment. I really came to understand this when I was observing someone who I know very well. This is a person who is very depressed and very angry with life. And this person would complain to me that they were being glared at in the street, and they were always seeming to get into angry confrontations with random people. And I thought, how come this is always happening to them? It doesn't make sense. But when out with this particular person, I observed how actually he was the one who was glaring at other people. He was glaring, and I actually had to pull him up on it. And he was so filled with anger and hatred and rage. And I thought, it's like a mirror. He is getting back, he is receiving what he is giving out. And that's when the concept really sort of, I started to think about it a lot more. Because I think previously I had thought, oh, you get what you give, that's not right. Because I used to say, I must have had bad karma. I'm a good person. Why do all these bad things happen to me? But actually bad things weren't happening to me. Life was just happening. Yeah, and in life we have challenges, they come in. And it's about how we learn to navigate those challenges, how we react to them. Yeah. But yeah, I thought it's true. And if you can love yourself, if you can show compassion for yourself and love, that's when you can give that compassion and love out to others. And you really will get it back. People very much build barriers, don't they? They've been hurt, perhaps in a previous relationship, and they don't want to be hurt again. And I understand that. I too have been there. I'm not having a relationship ever again. I have said that. But what that does is it might protect you momentarily, but it blocks what could be wonderful happiness for you. It's a blockage. That barrier, that wall you put around yourself. Yeah? So we have to learn to forgive. We have to learn to forgive and understand that people who have perhaps caused us pain have done so really because they're coming from an unconscious place. They are working through all the things in their mind that hasn't gone right in their life, and that is why they're projecting all these bad things onto us. Yeah, so we need to forgive, and we need to learn to trust again, and to also feel that we are deserving of love, of kindness, of goodness, because we are. We have to understand that we truly are worthy. Something I came across recently that made me think was someone said, people treat you the way that they feel they ought to be treated themselves. And I thought about that for a while, and it made total sense. Sometimes you can come across people in your life and you can think, I'm giving all this out to you, but you're not responding back. How come? What am I doing wrong? But it's not about you. It's about them and what they feel they deserve. So, thinking about the concept of giving out and getting back, it's not a material exchange, but it's an exchange of love. It's an exchange of trust and forgiveness. And if we can give that love, that compassion to others, then in return, that is what we will see coming back in our lives. It doesn't mean we won't have problems or we won't have challenges to navigate. That will always happen to each and every one of us. But when we can walk through life and we can behave from a good place, from a place of love, and forgive those who are projecting their fears and their anxieties onto us, you feel incredibly free. Up until recently, I was probably in quite an anxious state, and if someone was upset and they were upset at me, I would take it so personally. I would really feel it. But now, having had time to reflect on many things in my life, I look back and I can see that anger that was directed at me was nothing to do with me. It was to do with their own pain. And that really was quite life-changing. So it's just something to think about. I think it's helpful because we do come across incidents in our lives where people, strangers, can shout at us. We can be in the car and someone can cut in front of us and shout through the window, and it can really affect you, can't it? Especially if you're feeling stressed already. But when you come to the understanding that person in the car who's just shouted at you or done a rude hand gesture, that anger and that frustration that they're directing at you, who is a stranger, is nothing to do with you. It's to do with them projecting their own feelings onto you. You can detach from it. You can laugh at it. You can think, ooh, that's an angry person who's not having a very good day. And you can learn not to take it personally because you can see it for what it is. And I think that's really helpful, and it's something that has really, really helped me. So I just wanted to share that with you because it just makes life a lot easier. In a way, it's a form of protection when you can be around people and not take their anger personally. I think back to a period of time where I worked in an environment that I didn't feel secure in. I felt a bit like a fish out of water. It was a new environment to me. And I felt socially a little bit isolated. And I felt like I didn't fit in. And I look back at that time and I realise that actually, it was my fears of feeling apprehensive, my fears of feeling like I was this new person and I didn't feel like I did fit in with the others. My body language, I was putting up walls and barriers. And I look back and I think, had I approached that situation differently, instead of feeling nervous to say hello to someone or smile or just try and look relaxed, if I had been able to do that, then I probably wouldn't have felt like a fish out of water. But it was because I felt fear, because I felt anxiety. I was the one who isolated myself through my body language, through the fact that I didn't know how to approach people. It wasn't them. It's just something to be aware of. Maybe next time if you're in an environment where you are feeling a little bit nervous or just not very relaxed, think about how you are presenting yourself and try and make a small change. Take a deep breath, smile, and approach someone. And I'm sure you will see a big change in the response that you get, as opposed to going into an environment feeling scared. Anyway, I hope that may have helped some of you listening, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Bye.